Security badge down on Preston Wade's mahogany desk at 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday. 18 years of keeping this place locked down, reduced to a piece of plastic with a photo that made me look like I'd been punched in both eyes. The badge reader beeped one last time as I walked past it, almost sounded like it was laughing. My name is Spencer Hoffman. I'm 47 years old, and until about 10 minutes ago, I was the guy who made sure nobody walked out of Titan Defense Solutions with blueprints for guided missile systems stuffed in their lunchbox. Now I was unemployed, carrying a cardboard box with my stress ball shaped like a grenade and a coffee mug that said, "I fix problems you didn't know you had." But here's the thing about being in security for nearly 2 decades. You develop habits. Like checking your phone for calendar alerts even when you're walking to your car with your life in a cardboard box. And there it was, blinking at me like a neon sign, a reminder I'd set 3 months ago. That would make this the most expensive mistake Preston Wade ever made. Pentagon inspection team, site security audit, Friday 0900 hours, classified. I stopped walking. I looked at the date, tomorrow. I looked back at the building where Preston was probably already celebrating his brilliant cost-cutting move, and Jordan Ellis, his 27-year-old AI security consultant, was setting up his laptop in my office. The only problem? I was the only person at Titan Defense with the clearance level to receive a Pentagon inspection team. Without me, they were about to find out what happens when you try to replace 18 years of military security experience with an algorithm. Let me back up and tell you how we got here. Because this story starts with a combat engineer who learned the hard way that not everything that needs protecting can be put behind a firewall. 6 months earlier, I was doing what I'd done every morning for 18 years. Walking the perimeter, physical inspection, eyes on target. You can't hack a pair of boots walking a fence line, and you can't algorithm your way past a guard who knows the difference between a delivery truck and a surveillance vehicle. I'd come to Titan straight out of the Army. Did 2 tours in Iraq as a combat engineer before I figured out I was better at keeping things secure than blowing them up. Titan handled defense contracts, guidance systems, targeting computers, stuff that made our missiles hit what they were supposed to hit instead of a school 3 miles away. My job was simple: keep the bad guys out, keep the classified stuff in, make sure when the Pentagon showed up for their quarterly inspections, everything was buttoned up tighter than a submarine hatch. Then Preston Wade bought the company. Preston was 35 years old and had an MBA from some school that cost more than my house. He looked at our security setup like it was a Model T Ford parked in a Tesla showroom. Everything was legacy systems and outdated protocols. He wanted to disrupt the security paradigm. I hate the word disrupt. In my experience, when something gets disrupted in a security environment, people die. Preston brought in Jordan Ellis as a consultant. Jordan was fresh out of some coding boot camp, wore sneakers that looked like they belonged on a spaceship, and honestly believed that artificial intelligence could replace human judgment in threat assessment. "Think about it, Spencer," Jordan said during our first meeting, gesturing at my bank of monitors showing feeds from 50 cameras. AI never gets tired. It never misses a detail. It can process facial recognition, behavioral analysis, and threat prediction simultaneously. AI never served in Fallujah either, I said, not looking up from my incident reports. It never had to figure out which kid walking toward your convoy was carrying a backpack full of textbooks and which one was carrying 20 pounds of C4. Jordan laughed. Actually laughed. That's exactly the kind of human bias we're trying to eliminate. Human bias. Like 18 years of keeping this place secure was just me being prejudiced against progress. The writing was on the wall, but I kept doing my job. Just last month, we had a penetration test. Some contractors the Pentagon hired to see if they could breach our security. I spotted their fake maintenance van before it even turned into our parking lot. The suspension was riding wrong for a vehicle supposedly carrying floor waxing equipment. I locked down the facility, ran their plates, and had them identified as friendlies before they'd even put the van in park. Perfect score. 0 compromise. Preston was annoyed. "You caused a disruption in our daily operations, Spencer. The cafeteria delivery was delayed. People were confused. I stopped a federal pen test, Preston. That's what you pay me for. But at what cost?" Jordan's AI system would have identified them as non-threats through behavioral analysis and allowed normal operations to continue. I looked at him. Jordan's AI system would have let them walk through the front door with a smile and a wave. That was 3 weeks ago. This morning the axe fell. Preston called me into his office at 3:30. Jordan was there, spinning in one of those expensive chairs they'd bought for the conference room. He was wearing a hoodie that said "Innovate or Die" across the chest. "Spencer, sit down," Preston said, not looking at me. He was shuffling papers that I knew were blank. "Power move. We've been analyzing the metrics." I sat. I didn't close the door behind me. "Another power move. The security landscape is evolving," Preston continued. "Threats are digital now. Cyber warfare, data breaches. We need solutions that scale with modern challenges. We store physical prototypes of weapon systems, Preston. Someone still has to walk in here and steal them." "See, that's the old paradigm," Jordan chimed in, not looking up from his tablet. "Physical theft is inefficient. Everything valuable is data. Hardware is just slow software." I stared at him. I wondered if I could legally classify him as a security vulnerability. "The point is," Preston interrupted, "we're restructuring the security division. We need fresh perspectives. Someone who speaks the language of the future. Here it comes. Jordan here has developed a comprehensive AI security solution. Machine learning algorithms, predictive threat modeling, automated response protocols." "You're firing me," I said. It wasn't a question. "We're releasing you to pursue new opportunities," Preston corrected. "Effective immediately. We'll honor your contract, of course. 2 weeks severance. 2 weeks. 18 years of keeping this place secure. I'd missed my father's funeral because of a lockdown. I'd worked Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, my son's birthday. I'd given this company my prime years, and they were handing me 2 weeks' pay and a pat on the head. The heat rose in my chest, but I kept it locked down. When the alarm bells ring, you don't panic. You assess." "Understood," I said. "Who holds the clearance? Who's the point of contact for Pentagon inspections?" "Jordan is taking over all security functions," Preston said, puffing up like he'd just invented fire. I looked at Jordan. Jordan was trying to balance a pen on his nose. "Does Jordan have top-secret clearance? Has he completed his DoD background investigation?" "I have a clean record," Jordan said proudly. "Never even got a speeding ticket." "We're fast-tracking the paperwork," Preston waved his hand. "It's just bureaucratic red tape. Jordan has system access. That's what matters in the modern security environment." I stood there for exactly 3 seconds, looking at them. I looked at the motivational poster on Preston's wall that said, "Failure is not an option." I looked at the dying plant on his windowsill that nobody had watered in weeks, and I realized something important. I didn't have to warn them. I wasn't required to explain that you can't fast-track a top-secret clearance. It takes months. It involves federal agents interviewing your high school teachers. Without it, you legally cannot be the point of contact for anything classified above the level of a cafeteria menu. More importantly, if I warned them, they'd just blame me when it went sideways. "All right," I said, "I'll clear my desk." I walked back to my office. The hallway felt longer than usual. Miguel Santos, my shift supervisor, looked at me with questions in his eyes, but I gave him a small shake of the head. "Stay low, Miguel. Don't catch shrapnel." I started putting my life into the cardboard box. Photo of Lisa and Dylan at his graduation. My lucky coin from my first deployment. The stress ball shaped like a grenade that Lisa gave me as a joke when I got this job. And then I saw it. My computer was still logged in. Outlook was open. And right there, flashing in the corner like a warning beacon, was the calendar reminder that would change everything. Pentagon inspection team. Site security audit, Friday, 900 hours. Classified. Contact S. Hoffman. Only. Today was Thursday. The inspection was tomorrow. This wasn't just any inspection. This was a full Pentagon audit of our security protocols for the new guidance system contract. The one worth $25 million. The one that kept the lights on and paid everyone's salary. I looked at the screen. I looked at the calendar event. I had confirmed the appointment 3 months ago. Preston wasn't copied because Preston didn't have the clearance to know the specific dates of Pentagon audits. Jordan sure as hell didn't either. I could forward this to Preston. I could write a nice email explaining that a team of Pentagon officials would be arriving tomorrow morning expecting to meet with someone who had appropriate clearance. I hovered my mouse over the forward button. Then I thought about 2 weeks severance. I thought about Jordan's hoodie. I thought about human bias and legacy systems and hardware is just slow software. I selected the calendar. Event. I hit forward. I typed in my personal email address. I hit send. Then I deleted the event from my work calendar. I emptied the deleted items folder. I picked up my box and walked out. Driving home at 4 p.m. on a Thursday felt wrong. The sun hits your windshield differently when you're unemployed. I stopped at the gas station and bought a 6-pack of beer. Good beer, not the cheap stuff I usually grabbed. My phone buzzed. Text from Miguel. They gave Jordan the master access codes. He wrote them on a post-it note and stuck it to his monitor. We're screwed. I didn't reply. Replying would be interference. I was a civilian now. I got home to our split-level ranch. Lisa was in the kitchen making dinner. Dylan was at the table doing homework. "You're home early," Lisa said, then saw the box in my hands. Her face changed. "Spencer?" "Got laid off," I said. "They're going in a different direction." Lisa set down her wooden spoon. She was quiet for a moment, processing. I could see her mind working, calculating mortgage payments, Dylan's college plans, insurance coverage. But when she looked up at me, her face was calm. "We've been through worse," she said, walking over to hug me, box and all. "Remember when you came back from Iraq and couldn't find work for 6 months? We made it then. We'll make it now. That's why I married her. 20 years, and she still had my 6. Dylan looked up from his calculus homework. "Dad, does this mean I can't go to state next year?" "You're going to state," I said. "Don't worry about the money." I didn't tell them about tomorrow. I didn't tell them that Preston Wade was about to learn the difference between disrupting a market and disrupting national security protocols. Friday morning, 700 hours. Old habits. I made coffee and sat on the back porch. The air was crisp. It was a beautiful day for a federal incident. I knew exactly what was happening at Titan. Jordan would be setting up his AI monitoring system. Preston would be walking around, talking about seamless transitions and digital transformation. At 0830, my phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Pentagon. I let it ring. 0845, another call. Same number, 0855. Text from Preston. "Spencer, quick question. Pentagon team is here. What's the security protocol? Jordan's system isn't recognizing their credentials." I stared at the text. The absolute audacity. He fires me, insults my career, then wants technical support. I blocked his number. 0900 hours. Showtime. Here's what I knew was happening. Based on 18 years of Pentagon inspections. A black sedan with government plates pulled up to our front gate. 2 officials in dark suits carrying briefcases with federal locks. Ray Coleman, the gate guard I'd trained, would have checked their IDs, seen Department of Defense, Office of Inspector General, and immediately called the security office. No answer. Jordan was probably trying to figure out why his AI wasn't categorizing them properly. Ray would wave them through because you do not hold up Pentagon officials. The sedan would park in the visitor spaces. The officials would walk into the lobby carrying themselves like they owned the building and everything in it. Hannah Brooks, the receptionist, would look up from her desk. "Can I help you?" "Federal inspection team," the lead official would say. "Let's call him Inspector Williams. We're here for the scheduled security audit. Where is Spencer Hoffman?" "Spencer doesn't work here anymore," Hannah would whisper, because nobody wants to be the messenger when the message is this bad. The temperature in the lobby would drop 20 degrees. "Who is the current security director?" "Jordan Ellis." "Let me get him." Jordan would come out of the back office, probably wearing another hoodie, definitely not wearing a badge. He'd see 2 people in federal government suits and think, cool, maybe they're here to buy our AI system. "Hey there," Jordan would say. "I'm Jordan, head of digital security." Inspector Williams would stare at him. He'd see the hoodie, he'd see the sneakers, he'd see the complete absence of anything resembling federal security protocols. "Sir, I need to see your top secret clearance documentation immediately." "My what now?" And that's when the universe would snap in half. Williams would tap his earpiece. "Command, we have a problem at the primary site. Security contact is unavailable. Current personnel are not cleared for this level of inspection." Preston would come running out of his office, ready to smooth things over with his MBA charm. "Gentlemen, welcome to Titan Defense Solutions. I'm Preston Wade, CEO. How can we help you today?" "Mr. Wade," Williams would say, "we are conducting a mandatory security audit for your Defense Department contracts. We were scheduled to meet with Spencer Hoffman. We had to make some personnel changes. Jordan here is our new security director. He's implementing some very exciting AI solutions. Williams would look at Jordan. Jordan would probably wave. Mr. Wade, does this individual possess active top-secret clearance with the Department of Defense? He's in the process. Yes or no, sir? Not technically. Williams would turn to his partner. They'd exchange a look that could freeze helium. Sir, you have a facility handling classified defense contracts without properly cleared security personnel. We are shutting down this inspection immediately. This site is now flagged for security violation. Flagged? What does that mean? It means, Mr. Wade, that your Defense Department contracts are suspended pending a full investigation. It means you have potentially violated federal security regulations. It means you should call your lawyer. Preston's face would go from confident to confused to absolutely terrified in about 3 seconds. Wait, you can't just... We have deadlines. We have obligations. What you have, sir, is a security breach. We'll be filing our report with the Pentagon this afternoon. The officials would leave. Preston would be standing in his lobby, watching $25 million in contracts walk out the door. I finished my second cup of coffee and checked my phone. 10:30 hours. 3 missed calls from Titan's main number. 7 text messages from various coworkers. 1 voicemail from someone who identified himself as Pentagon liaison requesting immediate callback. I deleted them all. Meanwhile, back at Titan, the chaos was just beginning. Miguel texted me updates throughout the morning. Jordan locked himself in the bathroom. Preston is screaming at legal. They're seizing hard drives. Federal agents everywhere. Hannah quit. Just walked out. Can't blame her. By noon, the story was getting better. The Pentagon team hadn't just flagged the facility. They'd discovered that Jordan's AI system had been logging classified information to a cloud server. An unsecured cloud server. The kind that foreign intelligence agencies scan for fun. That's a felony. Multiple felonies, actually. Preston in handcuffs, Miguel texted. Jordan crying in parking lot. You're a legend. I didn't reply to any of it. I was a civilian now. I just sat on my porch drinking coffee, watching the world go by. 1,200 hours. My phone rang. Different number this time. Spencer Hoffman? Speaking. This is Colonel Patricia Stone, Pentagon Acquisitions Division. I believe you used to work at Titan Defense Solutions? Used to, yes ma'am. We've had an incident at their facility this morning. Their security director was unavailable for a scheduled inspection. We understand you're familiar with their protocols? I was, yes ma'am, until yesterday. I see. Mr. Hoffman, we're going to need to conduct a full security review of that facility. We'll also need someone with appropriate clearance to oversee the transition. Are you available for consultation? I smiled. I might be able to clear my schedule. Excellent. There's also another matter. Blackwater Security Solutions has been awarded the Regional Defense Contract Oversight position. They're looking for someone to head up their new facility security division. Interested? Regional oversight, multiple facilities, 25% pay increase, full benefits. Yes, ma'am, I'm very interested. Perfect. Can you start Monday? Roger that. I hung up and walked inside. Lisa was reading at the kitchen table. That was fast, she said. Sometimes things work out. What about Preston and his AI consultant? I poured myself another cup of coffee. They're about to learn that you can't algorithm your way past federal security requirements. My phone buzzed. Text from Miguel. Pentagon officials left 20 minutes ago. Preston is locked in his office. Jordan is crying in the parking lot. They're saying the contracts are suspended. You're a legend. I didn't reply. I just sat down next to my wife and opened the newspaper. The weekend passed quietly. I spent Saturday morning fixing the fence in our backyard, something I'd been putting off for months. Dylan helped, handing me tools and asking questions about the new job. So you're like, their boss now? He asked. Regional director. I'll oversee security for multiple defense contractors. That's pretty cool, Dad. Preston sounds like an idiot. Preston made mistakes, I said, hammering in another fence post. But calling people names doesn't fix anything. What fixes things is doing the job right the first time. Sunday evening, I got a call from Miguel. Spencer, you need to hear this. Federal agents showed up this morning, seized everything. Computers, files, even Jordan's tablet. Word is they found classified information on unsecured servers. Preston's looking at federal charges. That's unfortunate, I said. Come on, man. You had to know this would happen. Miguel, I followed my termination agreement to the letter. I returned all company property and ceased all access to company systems. What happened after that wasn't my responsibility. Miguel laughed. You're cold, brother. Remind me never to fire you. Monday morning, 0700 hours. New office, same habits. My desk overlooked the Potomac River. Real window, real view. My nameplate said Regional Security Director, Defense Contract Oversight. My first email of the day was a security briefing about a company called Titan Defense Solutions. Apparently, they'd lost their Defense Department contracts due to security violations. The facility was under federal investigation. The CEO had been arrested on charges of mishandling classified information. I archived the email and moved on to more important things. My second email was from Colonel Stone. Spencer, Titan's former CEO Preston Wade, has been charged with violation of the Espionage Act. His AI consultant Jordan Ellis has been banned from federal contracting for life. The facility is being shut down permanently. Thanks again for taking the regional position. Your first facility inspection is Thursday. P. Stone. I leaned back in my chair. The morning sun was warming my office. I could hear the hum of properly functioning security equipment in the distance. My phone rang. Unknown number but local area code. Spencer Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman, this is Rebecca Turner, investigative journalist with Defense Weekly. I'm writing a story about the Titan Defense incident. Would you be available for comment? I'm sorry, Ms. Turner, but I'm not authorized to discuss ongoing federal investigations. But you were their security director for 18 years. You must have some insight into what went wrong. I thought about it for a moment. Off the record? Of course. Sometimes people think they can innovate their way around fundamental requirements. Security isn't about being cutting edge. It's about being reliable. When you prioritize innovation over competence, you get what happened at Titan. Do you think the charges against Preston Wade are justified? Ma'am, if someone without proper clearance had access to classified information, and if that information was stored on unsecured systems, then federal law is pretty clear about the consequences. One more question. Do you feel vindicated? I looked out my window at the river. A tugboat was pushing a barge upstream, slow and steady against the current. Ms. Turner, vindication implies I was wronged. I wasn't wronged. I was just replaced by people who didn't understand the job. The system worked exactly as it was designed to work. After I hung up, I opened my laptop and got to work. I had 5 facilities to inspect this week, 12 security protocols to review, and 30 clearance applications to process. My phone buzzed. Text from Dylan. Dad, got my acceptance letter from state. Full scholarship for engineering. Thanks for not giving up. I smiled and typed back, Roger that, son. Proud of you. Lisa texted a few minutes later. Saw the news about Preston on TV. Federal charges. You okay? I'm good. Justice system works when you let it. Dinner at 6? I'm making your favorite. Roger that. Love you. At lunch, I drove past the old Titan facility. There were federal agents' cars in the parking lot and yellow tape across the main entrance. A sign on the fence said, Facility closed. Federal investigation in progress. I didn't stop. I had other places to be. That evening, I sat on my back porch with a beer, watching the sunset. Lisa joined me with her glass of wine. You don't seem surprised by any of this, she said. I'm not. Did you know it would happen? I took a sip of my beer. I knew Preston didn't understand security requirements. I knew Jordan didn't have the clearance to do the job. I knew they'd eventually run into something they couldn't fake their way through. But you didn't warn them. Would you warn someone who just fired you? Lisa was quiet for a moment. Probably not. Besides, warning them wouldn't have changed anything. They would have ignored it, just like they ignored everything else I tried to teach them. Some lessons you learn in combat, some lessons you learn in life. But the most important lesson I ever learned was this. Competence doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be there when incompetence finally runs out of places to hide. I opened my laptop and checked my calendar for tomorrow. 3 facility inspections, 2 clearance reviews, and a briefing with Pentagon officials about new security protocols. There were other facilities to protect, other protocols to maintain, and somewhere out there, there was probably another Preston Wade getting ready to disrupt something that shouldn't be disrupted. Good thing there are still people like me around to keep the lights on. Experience beats innovation when lives are on the line. You can't disrupt your way past bullets, and you can't algorithm your way around human judgment that's been tested in real combat. The most dangerous enemies aren't the ones shooting at you from across the battlefield. They're the ones sitting in boardrooms, making decisions about things they've never had to live with the consequences of.